You're not lazy. Let's just start with that. You've probably told yourself you are, maybe more times than you can count. Maybe you've looked at your to-do list, sighed, shut your laptop, and thought, what's wrong with me? And that feeling, the weight, the frustration, the guilt, it's not laziness, it's something deeper. Most people think of laziness as a character flaw, like a switch you should be able to flip with enough discipline. But real life doesn't work that way. What we call laziness is often the outer symptom of something happening beneath the surface: burnout, fear, overwhelm, or even grief. Sometimes it's not that you're unwilling to move forward, it's that your mind and body are holding the brakes for a reason you don't fully understand yet. Let's rewind for a second. Think about the last time you procrastinated on something important. Not because you were binge watching TV or scrolling endlessly, but because you couldn't even get yourself to start. Maybe your brain played that cruel game where you knew what you needed to do, but you just couldn't do it. That's not laziness, that's executive dysfunction, and it's often tied to stress, anxiety, or depression. The system is overloaded, not broken. We live in a world that glorifies productivity. Hustle harder. No days off. Sleep when you're dead. But that mindset treats humans like machines. And the truth is, machines break when you push them too hard. So do people. One of the most overlooked reasons for this so-called laziness is actually perfectionism. Strange, right? But think about it. If deep down you believe that something has to be done perfectly or not at all, starting becomes terrifying. What if it's not good enough? What if you fail? What if people judge you? So instead of starting, you freeze. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much. You're not lazy, you're scared. Another hidden cause? Decision fatigue. The modern world bombards us with choices, notifications, and mental tabs left open all day long. We wake up already feeling behind. So by the time you sit down to be productive, your brain is already drained. The energy you think you should have is already spent on tiny, invisible decisions you didn't even notice making. And then there's shame. This one's brutal. When you label yourself as lazy long enough, it becomes your identity. You start to internalize it. And that creates a painful loop. You feel stuck. You call yourself lazy. And that guilt makes you even more stuck. It's like trying to run while dragging a 100-pound backpack of self-blame. No wonder you're tired. But here's the most important part. You are not the problem. The story you've been told about effort and motivation is incomplete. You've been taught that success is just about trying harder, when in reality, it's often about healing, resting, and understanding yourself. Because sometimes what looks like laziness is really mental exhaustion. Sometimes it's unprocessed emotion. Sometimes it's a lack of clarity about what actually matters. And sometimes it's just your body whispering, please slow down. Let's talk about that whisper. Our minds are masters of logic, but our bodies speak in feelings, tension, tiredness, resistance. If you're constantly battling your energy levels, maybe your body is trying to tell you something. Maybe it's tired of fighting battles you no longer believe in. Maybe it's grieving dreams that didn't come true. Maybe it's longing for silence in a world that never stops shouting. You might not need a new morning routine or another productivity hack. Maybe what you need is gentleness, a conversation with yourself that doesn't begin with, why am I like this, but with, what am I needing right now? When was the last time you asked yourself that? Not what others expect from you, not what your calendar says, but what you, underneath all the noise, are really needing. Maybe it's rest, maybe it's clarity, maybe it's connection, or maybe it's permission to just be a human being, not a human doing. Here's a truth that sounds radical in a world obsessed with achievement. You are still worthy even when you're not productive. Your value does not decrease just because your output does. Read that again. What if you gave yourself permission to move at your natural pace? What if you treated rest as fuel instead of failure? What if you replace self-criticism with curiosity? The irony is, the moment we stop judging ourselves for being lazy, we often begin to move again. Because judgment freezes, but compassion creates space. You're not lazy. You're carrying things no one else can see. You're figuring out life without a map. You're surviving in a world that rewards pretending you're okay. So next time your inner voice whispers lazy, pause, breathe, ask a different question. What's actually happening right now? Because there's always a reason. And it's not failure, it's feedback. And if no one has told you this lately, you're doing better than you think. You're not lazy. You're learning how to heal,